And nope, yep, not going through. Okay. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes, wait until it's roughly 1/2-ish, and then today what I'm going to be covering will be rigging and using X muscles. These are mostly used for animators, so that they can actually create the animations. We won't be covering animations this week, that will probably be next week. So, yeah, just give it a few more minutes, about a minute. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll start set off in about a minute or so. So yeah, what we've covered over the past few weeks is creating this guy in ZBrush, then retopologizing him, getting all textures set up, and so on and so forth. So yeah, what the material software we use, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. What I use is this called X. It's done by X. I cannot pronounce the name, but it's really great material. I use material creator. I use. I can send to and fro without any major issues. Okay, so what I'm going to be covering this week is creating this. So as you can see, I've been messing around with the guy already. I'm going to jump back to the lesson from last time. I have tweaked that file slightly, fixed one or two issues we had last time, which is such as the mouth and such. So what we'll be doing is creating this. And switch this off. As you can see here, well, the muscles, with the X muscle system I'm using, actually deforms the muscles to a point where it's more realistic. Same if I twist the arms and rotate them, so you get realistic hand motions. Rig will be creating today will be slightly more advanced than this, however not too far from what this is. Okay. So let's jump back to this. So this is where we started off from last week. I've added some eyes, so as you can see he's now got eyes, because if you watched last week he didn't. He did look a bit creepy at that point. Okay, so first steps, what I'm going to do is, for creating a rig, would be best practice would be if you create, I'm just going to jump to material mode, hopefully not break it. Sometimes it can be a little bit temperamental with Blender, especially dependent on your system specs and what type of material you're using. Current moment I'm using the HDRI with substance materials. Okay, please don't crash. Why is it always this one stream? Just give it a minute. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is jump to Control 2, focus, Control 7, and what I'm going to do is take a screenshot. Well, I'm actually going to snip tool and hide the camera. Create this, save this as jump into here, create an EP3 file, go put rigging. So yeah, what I'm going to do with this now is drag that, find that image and drag it into Photoshop. And hopefully it opens up. So what I'm doing this for is, if you can do this beforehand, before rigging, what you can do is actually draw the skeleton out on top of a 2D image. So I'll drag this over here. So what I mean is, put this here so that you get. I've already worked this all out in early today. So what the rig's going to look like is, as you can see, it's got really broad shoulders. So I'm going to need a bone here and here. Then one bone here. Then he's got a really unique waist, one bone here and one hip here. So there's some different ways you can do hips. What some people do is have this just as a master bone and then have it all the way to that, and some people have it so you got one here and one here, yet this is parented to this. And don't do that. Then what we do, one down here, one down here. Since the feet go like that, we're going to actually have to have one here, one there, and one down the back. And there's the neck bone and then the head. I won't add eyes into this yet because when you do a head with eyes, what you need to do is do that, then create an eye there, an eye for each bone. Sorry, bone for each eye. So yeah. Then here, one here, one here, and one for each bone. Since each finger there's only 3 fingers on this guy, and he's got 3 joints, so you need one per joint. So like this. What you can do as well as this is start planning out where you're going to be placing your controllers. So what controllers are is they help create a smoother animation. They basically animate animator's friend. Instead of having to grab, let's say, this bone here, they can grab a controller. So I'm going to need one for the arm, so I'm going to have to create one here. Then I'm going to need one for the elbow to help angle the elbow. Then same with the knee. Due to if you've got any experience from 3ds Max or any other pre-built rigs, what you find out is, since this has got a really unique foot, I'm going to have to build a slightly different one. But on most ones, you'll find that there's a controller here for this part of the foot. What this does is it helps stop the foot move up and down when the hips are moved up and down, because they're not parented to that. Because we're going to have to break the parenting and lodge it somewhere else. So what we're going to need one is here, and we're going to need one at the bottom. The heel as well. Sorry about that. Next thing we need to plan out is where the IKs and FKs are going. Where the IKs are going to go. So the IKs one needs to go here, going upwards. Same with that. But you don't really need one for the chest. You can, but ideally you want to try and animate those separately. But then you also need to create one for the fingers themselves. But creating IK is really quick and simple when you know if you use the right techniques, and you don't have to deal with them much. Okay, so now we've planned out where everything needs to go. So as you can see, there's a skeleton template. I've only done one side because you can actually just, what I'm going to show you how to do is how to mirror all the bones from one side, so all this side, onto this side with one simple click. During the creation of this, you do have to make sure you're using the right name system though. If you're using a wrong name system, it can go wrong quite quickly. There's always one on the bike, don't mind me. Okay, so let's jump back to Blender. And what we need to do is create an armature. The quickest way of doing that is if you hit Shift then A, go to armature, and I use single bone. However, let's go and hide this guy for a second. What you can use is a system called Rigify. This is actually a pre-built system inside Blender. You do have to enable it in the preferences, so I'll show you that now. So if you type, pretty much if you type rig, you'll come up with this, and it will come up with Rigify. It's a nice system, however, due to our character isn't exactly default, it can cause issues, I found. But that's my personal experience, and not everyone's. It works great for bipedal, anything humanoid bipedal, and you won't have any major issues. So what I'm going to do is get that bone again, and hit Alt, sorry, Tab. I'm using the Maya control set, by the way, so sometimes this, when I'm saying controls, they may not work on Blender. However, you should be able to transfer them over easy. So what I'm going to do is call this master. What a master bone does is this controls everything, all the movement inside it. So moving left, right, back and forth. What I'm going to do next is then add another bone and select it, drag it up, go into armature mode, switch on X-ray. So move this up here, drag that down. Call this hips. And then in this, all I need to do is change that master to the parent to master. As you can see, what I'm going to do here, if I jump into pose mode, is pull it forward like it should have. So yeah. You can add custom shapes to bones if you want. I'll show you that as well once we get to that. And it's a quick, nice tip. It's a quick, nice, easy way to just grab things and move things around. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab this. To extend the bone, all you need to do is hit, I'm using Blender again, like I said, Alt X, extrude upwards. Try to make sure that there's no roll on it. If there is roll, it can cause issues when you're doing animations later. And don't that. Sometimes this can be an issue. So if I change all this up to 0, it should recenter it. Yep. Again, So I want to keep the Z the same, however not the X and Y. Okay, so I'm going to rename that's being renamed to hips. So this is going to be stomach. Change this to chest. What I'm going to do is extend this up a bit higher. Move this one up a bit more. And then going to extend to the left, like this. Keep this up there. What I'm going to do now is change this to clavicle left underscore left. Underscore left. The reason why I've classed it as underscore left is because if you do that, what you can do is in later episode, later on this episode, you can actually mirror it and it changes that L to an R and it mirrors the location just on the opposite it mirrors it on the x-axis. What I'm going to do that now is extrude that, put that down there. Okay, move this here. Nope, don't want to grab that. Sometimes with bone mode, it can be a little bit difficult to actually center things. So my trick is I normally try to jump inside. One thing about X-ray mode, it's jump the wireframe. Okay, so that's there now. What I'm going to do is extrude this out, drag this down to the arm. This up there. Just there. Now is to delete this bow. So what this has done is it's actually kept the parent, it's re-updated the parenting list. So once I've deleted that, so that used to be parented to the one I just deleted. However, now you can see this is reparented to this. This should have like clavicle 2, yeah, that's up. So what this is going to be renamed to is upper arm. If I shoot that out. Check the roll again, so you don't want any roll on it, because if you do, it can, like I say, can cause issues later on. Okay. So what you'll do is turn off wireframe mode. Go to here, change this to wires. So when you do need to adjust the roll, as you can see here, with that arm is fine with it going down straight like that. However, if you see this forearm, it's gone off center slightly. So if you do adjust the roll, that's one of the good times to adjust it, just to make sure that the arm and hand are actually in line like that. Let's drag that down. So what I'm going to do now is, can I do a multi-extrude? Yeah. Extrude this out 3 times. Actually, I'm going to extrude it out once. What I'm going to do is rename all these joints. So, finger underscore 01 underscore 003. So what that means is it's the first finger, and the way I do mine is I go make sure that the tip of the finger is number 1, and then the top of the top knuckle is number 3. What you can do then is, if you just copy and paste that name, just make sure when you copy and paste in, so I'm just going to change each number and change each number in this section here. So I just need to put L there. Oh, okay. Now what I'm going to do is, if I extrude this out, should rename them all. Okay, and then again, all you need to do is rename again. Scar 2, and just minus the 001. So move that there, move that there. Okay, oops, slight pick up that one. Let's grab this one here, so move this here, move this here, move this here. Try to get it in the center as much as possible, because when we do the actual rigging, sorry, not the actual skinning of the character, it will actually help a lot more with getting it to actually the envelopes to work properly. So what are the envelopes are what it actually looks like. So it tries to apply skinning weights. So again, like I said, rigging can be a very long process to do. So I need to check that roll again. So yeah, let's just double check. Yep, need to rename this again. And what I'm going to do now is rename this. Should say yeah. What's up? Change this to left hand. And this should be left forearm. Okay, what some people do when they're rigging, especially in forearms, they sometimes split the upper arm and the lower arm into two, same with the legs. What this allows people to do is give each rotation a unique twist. But since I'm going to be using a muscle system, it's not too present on that, because the muscles actually do the weight. Actually, you try to recalculate when you twist, such as when you twist your arm, you notice there's no twisting in the center. It's actually go from the wrist upwards, and same again, and same again with the upper arm. Okay, so that's done now. What you can do to just double check you haven't missed anything, if you go to the armature tab, so this tab here, then click on names, you can actually start seeing the names. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click that, click extrude. Delete this again. Name this upper leg. Well, fine. Fine underscore left. So underscore L. Check the roll again. Like I said, a roll can cause major issues down the line if you don't catch it in time. So rename that to Shin. So I extrude one down. That. Move it back a bit. Move that down there. Then extrude down into the toes. See, this is a bit too high, so I'll move that down a bit. Just down and hit zoom. There. Okay. Make the neck, so just that. Same again, just extrude from the neck, top one up. And just like that. What I'm going to do now is create these eyes. So all you need to do, again, extrude out, down. But the difference with this one, let's see if I can do it. Snap. Yeah, there it is. Okay, what I'm going to do. Just like this. Control Shift Snap to 3D selection to 3D cursor. Oh, sorry, cursor to selected. So that's now in the center. So if now I click on, close that, click on this, edit, select on the end one, Control Shift select, and move selected to cursor. That's bang in center. I'm going to make this slightly a bit smaller. So change the radius slightly. Right, what I'm going to do is hit X again and W and move forward. Delete this. Delete the one which is selected up. So as you can see, this eye is now selected up here. And yeah, I should be fine. So rename this I left, I underscore L. Rename this head, neck, so what I'm going to do now is actually start building the controllers for these, because once we mirror them across, well, once I make a symmetry, it will mirror everything across in one go. So what I'm going to do, Alt-X, pull that out, Alt-P to unparent, sorry, Alt-P to clear parent, pull that out a bit, same again. Pull it down here. Alt-P on the fingers. Sorry, Alt-X. Alt-P and clear parents. These finger ones need to stay roughly where they are. So again with the forward, so call this hand controller. Underscore left. Oh, underscore L. So finger one, control, same guy on the knee, straight that out, Alt-P, clear the parent, pull this forward, like F5, I underscore controller, the reason why I'm making these out of bones is there's something called pose library in Blender, which is this feature. Oh, no, not that feature. This feature here. Once you create a pose, what you can do is copy that pose over and over again. So if you're doing any games animation and you don't want to copy yourself over and over again, well, keep doing the same footing over and over again. Yeah, if you keep doing it over and over again, what you can do is get a unique walk. However, it might not be loopable as much as you think. But if you do, and if you use shapes, you can't use pose library because the IKs, so which is inverse kinetics, will automatically snap those bones to where the controller is. However, if you use bones, you can actually copy the locations of the said controller bones into pose library, and it works a lot better. If it's a little bit more complex than that, but that's the basis of it. So P, clear this. Call this foot controller. controller underscore L. Heel will need one as well. Rename this to heel as well. Foot. Toe underscore 2 underscore L. That. And paste that onto here and change that to number 1. Right one. Down here. Pull this up. Close P. Close foot L. Underscore. So what have we? Nope. I think I'll actually repeat myself. Okay, this is not the foot controller, this is actually the leg controller. This is the foot controller. Now what I need to do is actually change these parents. So this parent and this parent actually links to the foot controller, well, leg controller. Now, I need to delete these because I don't need them anymore. With this one, what I need to do is actually add a constraint to it. Can I add a constraint? Okay, copy. No, actually, I do this slightly differently. I actually do this in bone constraints. So now you've got all the bones here. What all you need to do is go to armature and hit symmetry. That's it. So select all and hit symmetry. So now it's actually duplicated all those names just onto the other side. So I need to change this up around controller, L1 controller. Sadly, names don't copy across as much if you do change it and you have got symmetry switched on. So if you are going to do any changes, make sure you have X-axis symmetry on. So what that means is if I move this one back, the reason why that's not symmetry is because it's not linked properly. So now if I hit this one and move this back, as you can see here, it's actually taken both of them because it's actually recognised that they're the same bone, just mirrored on the opposite side. So yeah. Now the next complex bit is to start creating the IKs and FKs. But the first thing what I like to do is get all the controllers and put them into a bone group. A bone group helps to actually isolate certain things. So Gotta go to pose mode. If you select all these, if it actually lets me select them. And there should be one more. Where is it? Ah, yeah, here it is. Then go to bones. Should be bones layers. There. And call this group controllers. So all that does is it hides them. But we don't want that yet. So I'll switch them back onto there. What I'm going to do is I use a plugin from, I can't remember who it's from, but you can actually create groups. Hopefully it doesn't break it. So if I create, so move that to group, no, create a group. Nah, but I can't do it, but I can't. So yeah, you know which ones of the controllers are due to the names. What you need to do now is start building the actual animation rig. The muscle system comes in after you create the animation rig, because it can be a lot more complicated if you try to do it afterwards. So what we're going to use is, if you click on this bone here, and then go to this one here, it looks like a bone, then it's got chains. Click on that, and click on IK. This is going to go freaky deaky in a minute, but our wall is going to fix in 1 second after that. So if I type in hand and go left, it's going to break. Oh, no. So now if I do that, you can see that it's turned yellow and this yellow line's turned up. All that's done is it's actually created a constraint. So now if I grab this, edit, the hand controller should, okay. Oh. Go to edit mode again. Alt P, unparent. Close mode. Now, as you can see here, it's actually moving. The reason why it wasn't moving is because I forgot to unparent to that bone. But as you can see there, it's moving around and it's got more realistic. But as you can see, the elbow is a bit dodgy, because when you scratch like that, you don't exactly wrench your arm up, you wrench it down. So undo that, make sure it goes back to default, and click on this. Oh, sorry. Click on the upper arm again, another IK constraint. Click on not the armature. Oh yeah, the armature, and type in elbow. So make sure you use left. And as you can see, it's done that. But if I click on next one, if I click on constraint 1, it actually fixes it again. You will have to, sadly, this. I like to do this individually. However, I believe what you can do is symmetry all over with the constraints. I haven't tried that with this system yet, but I believe it does work. I'm not sure. Okay, so what we're going to do, the hand itself needs another unique constraint. Due to
it needs to take the rotation. Because what I'm going to do is give this controller a unique shape later on in the episode. What that means is Bones can actually take custom shapes. So you can build a box, and that bone will take that shape. Meaning, when it goes down to the animation stage, you can actually not have to deal with trying to grab a bone, you can grab an actual item. Also, bones are non-renderable. Meaning, you can have 1.5 billion bones and they will not show up on any renders. This hand has not gone back to the right location. That's the right location. Okay. Sometimes when you do move things around, add starting constraints, the bones, if they're not being locked, can alter position. Even though these were parented to the hand, for some reason the hand didn't keep it. But easy fix, and you just need to do a quick alteration. So what I'm going to do now is actually create the IK chains for the fingers. So clicking this one, IK constraint, so let's go to 3, so that goes up to there. Okay, I have made a slight mistake. So what I'm going to do is remove all the IKs. I was meant to actually skin the character first, but yep, everyone's where they should be. So what I'm going to do, jump to pose mode, grab all the control bones. And put them onto a new layer, which will be layer 2. So I should be able to group these. So we'll go to layer 2. So that's the layers the system I need. So I didn't see what that does. Like I said, sometimes it never goes right. True. Okay, so what I'm going to do, grab the mesh, then grab the armature, hit P, and I'm going to do automatic weight paints. These will start enveloping the entire character, giving it automatically its own unique weighting system. This means when we actually, the next step, which is the IK systems, which I should have done this beforehand, and IK systems, we can actually not have to worry about the mesh moving or having to recreate the mesh. So all this is done is now if I grab this forearm, jump into pose mode, so this is it still linked to the controller? Yeah. Edit mode, Alt P, clear parent. You can see the mesh is actually now deforming around the skeleton. And it then causes this issues. Well, okay. What I'm going to do now, I think I IK string on here. Change it to 1, change it to elbow. Because what this does is now if I grab the arm controller, I can actually control how the elbow swings. Don't worry about don't worry about the fact that the mesh is deforming massively up here. As you can see, it's not going the way we want it. We can fix that in a bit. So, okay. So that's there. The leg is slightly a bit more complicated, especially with how the knee is set up. So grab this one here, create the IK constraint again, link it up 1, sorry, link it up 2, so now it jumps up to here, click controller, click the armature again, and hit leg. So we're on leg controller left, as you can see that's jumped it. And now hit on to this again, IK, armature, change that to 1, change the call this Phi controller. There. So I was wondering why that was happening. Why has it set to 1? So yeah, same. As you can see here, it's actually created that massive, not so good deformation. So click on this again. Okay. The reason why we're creating this one is if you try to move the foot now, it will cause an issue with the foot massively going in different directions. But if you put IK controllers, it actually corrects this issue. Click on that, change it to 1. Don't worry about that deformation just yet. So you want to move this roughly where you want the foot. Click on the foot again. IK. Change it to 1. On that. Click call that foot controller. Foot controller left, and as you can see it's now clicked. So I'll move that up and down. And heel. So yeah, if it's yellow, it means it's not connected. If it's yellow, it means it's connected right. If it's orange, it's not connected right. So what this has done, this rig, as you can see here, that's not deforming properly. So I'm going to, that's because that's not being parented properly. So I need to change the parent on that. Jump to edit mode. So hit tab. Parent is leg controller. Close tab, and now if I can move this up, can you see how that's now how the foot should go? Now if I move this back, if I rotate, you can actually get the proper deformations without those being an issue. Change that back. So again, replicate on this side. Let's see what this does. I'm going to try to do a massing curve. Nope. Okay, so jump this up. So yeah, that's right now. So if I jump this up 3, try it. Go try to reposition these again. So a little bit more where they should be. Then just click on the armature, then hit controller, type controller, and then just find which one it is. So 01 underscore control finger 1. Zero 02 underscore controller finger 2. Find this, move this slightly again. That again. So now if I move any of these fingers, so if I move this up, you can see it's not now getting the deformation on how the motion on how a finger would move. So this needs to go up 2. This needs the controller of the leg. always try to make sure that it's clicked the right one, because as you just saw then, you need to go to edit mode again. Move this up a bit. Sorry, move that there. Parent is leg. Control R. Try to make sure that it's always in the same location on the opposite side. So go to constraints again, hit armature, foot control right, heel controller right, okay. Now that needs the entire thing controlling. Armature knee, nope, sorry, that's thigh controller right. Now controller right. Elbow control right. So as you can see, the rig is actually coming to a point where it is starting to become more and more animatable. However, not the controllers are still a bit awkward to grab. So what I'm going to do is, once I do the last few fingers, such as you can see, these fingers here aren't finished. These need the IK constraints added. Okay, so the controller is armature. I think that's 0, 1. 0, 1. Just go finger controller 1. Finger controller 2, and this is free. Zero free control. 2 free. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So all these need to be parented to the hand controller. On the right. Just move them up, and it will get rid of that really nasty stretching on them. Just like that. Just do one last check. Okay, this hip bone isn't working right. Okay, go to here. So what should be happening is when I pull downwards, you should move up and down. And the knee should bend. They're not. It's pulling to the left. Weird, that shouldn't be happening. Wait a second. have a look at this. So what should be happening is if I grab the hit bone here, and move it up and down, so that controls everything like that, like it should. Controls that. This is really weird. Why is it start doing this? So it's back to 0, so that's 1. Now, oh.
Okay, so what I'm going to do. Okay, the eyes are probably go away from the mesh as well. Oh, a sec. What are these linked to? Right, hand control. So yeah, now what this does is if I rotate the hand, it rotates that with it. This, oh, just like that. Rotation controller, just like that. Switch to local, like this to fix this issue with the trying to figure it out. Okay. Hang on, I know what's causing it. controllers need to be linked to the hips. Well, the hand controllers at least. So now if we go back to pose mode, good. Nope. Okay. Hand controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it night. What I'm going to do is come back on Friday. So what we've covered in this session so far is how to create the IKs, how to parent unattached bones to others here. So all I did to do that, go back to edit mode, go to here and parent and link it to these here. Then same with them, and same with these here. So, no, those don't need parenting because they need to be separately. Because when you start animating and start making walk cycles, ideally you don't want those attached to the hips. If you do, when you move the hips forward, which also can drag the character forward, can cause issues. So, like, he shouldn't be doing this. So yeah, I'll get back to you on Friday about this, because I do not know what's causing this issue. Right, okay. Okay, bye guys. Anyway, oh yeah, by the way, I do have a Discord. It's in the description below. If I do figure it out tonight, I'll drop what's causing the issue, and I'll get back to you. Okay, night guys.